Terrell handed the stranger his last $18. It was insane, completely insane. He'd just been fired an hour ago, framed for something he didn't do, and now he was giving away the only money standing between him and his 7-year-old daughter going to bed hungry. But the woman beside him at the bus stop kept counting those crumpled bills, her hands shaking, and he couldn't watch her suffer. Not when he knew exactly what that kind of desperation felt like. So he gave it to her, all of it. She thanked him with tears in her eyes and got on the bus. And Terrell? He started the long walk home, wondering how he'd explain to Maya why there'd be nothing for dinner. The next morning, someone knocked on his door. When Terrell opened it, his heart stopped. 5 black SUVs lined the street outside his apartment. Men and women in expensive suits were stepping out, and walking toward him, dressed like she owned half the city, was her, the woman from the bus stop. Only now she looked like someone who could buy and sell his entire neighborhood without blinking. "We need to talk," she said. What happened next? Terrell's life was never going to be the same. Before we continue, let us know in the comments section where in the world you're tuning in from. We love seeing how far our stories reach. And if this story speaks to you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Terrell hadn't eaten since yesterday morning. His stomach had stopped growling hours ago. Now it just felt hollow, the same way everything else did. He walked through the dark streets, replaying the moment over and over. Bradley standing there with that smug look. Amanda refusing to meet his eyes. His supervisor sliding the termination papers across the desk like it was already decided. "We have witnesses who saw you take the equipment," Turris said. Multiple witnesses. He'd never stolen anything in his life. But who was going to believe him? A black man's word against 2 people willing to lie? He knew how this story always ended. The bus stop appeared ahead, lit by a single flickering streetlight. Terrell dropped onto the bench and let his head fall back. His daughter, Maya, was waiting. Sweet, trusting Maya with her gap-toothed smile, her dark, curly hair always escaping its braids, and her drawings of their family. Always 3 people, even though it had only been 2 for 3 years now. How was he supposed to tell her? A woman sat down beside him. Terrell barely noticed at first. Then he heard her breathing. Quick, panicked, the kind that comes right before you fall apart completely. He glanced over. She was maybe late 30s, dressed in jeans and a shirt that had seen better days. Her hands were shaking as she counted a handful of bills and coins. Once, twice, 3 times. Each time her face fell a little more. "Excuse me," she said quietly. Her voice cracked. "I'm so sorry to bother you, but do you have any change? I'm short for the bus fare." Terrell looked at her, really looked at her. There were tear tracks on her cheeks. Her eyes had that glazed, desperate look he'd seen in his own mirror too many times. He pulled out his wallet. $18. That was it. That was everything. If he gave it to her, he'd have to walk the 4 miles home. Maya would ask why he was so late. Mrs. Patterson would worry. And tomorrow? Tomorrow there'd be nothing for breakfast. But this woman was breaking right in front of him.
Terrell held out the money. "Here, take it." She stared at the bills like they were a lifeline. "I can't, that's too much. I just need—" "Please," Terrell said, "just take it." Her hands trembled as she accepted the money. I don't even know what to say. Thank you. Doesn't feel like enough." "It's okay," Terrell said, even though it wasn't. Even though he had no idea how he'd make it through tomorrow. "I'm Victoria," she said, wiping her eyes. "I'm not usually— tonight's been—" She couldn't finish. Terrell nodded. "Get it. Bad nights happen." The bus pulled up with a hiss of brakes. Victoria stood, clutching the money. "I'm going to pay you back. I don't know how yet, but I will. I promise." Terrell nodded, not believing her. People always said things like that. They never followed through. That was just how the world worked. Victoria got on the bus and it drove away, leaving Terrell alone under the broken streetlight. 4 miles in the dark on an empty stomach. He started walking. Maya was already asleep when he finally made it home. Mrs. Patterson had fed her dinner. Mac and cheese, she said, and stayed late without charging extra. She was good like that. One of the only good things left in Terrell's life. Terrell stood in Maya's doorway, watching her sleep. She had his wife's nose, Michelle's way of curling up on her side with one hand tucked under her cheek. Her brown skin glowed softly in the nightlight. "I'm sorry, baby," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." He didn't sleep that night, just sat at the kitchen table staring at the stack of bills he couldn't pay, wondering what came next. Maybe there was construction work day, labor, paid cash. It wouldn't be enough, but it would be something. The knock came at 8, whirled in the morning. Terrell had been awake for hours, nursing his third cup of watered-down coffee. Maya was eating cereal, the last of it, and humming a song from school. "I'll get it," Terrell said, expecting Mrs. Patterson or maybe the landlord coming early to remind him rent was due. He opened the door and froze. 5 black SUVs lined the street. Actual SUVs, the kind with tinted windows and chrome that caught the morning sun. People in suits were standing beside them, men and women who looked like they'd stepped out of a corporate magazine. And walking up his cracked sidewalk, dressed in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than his rent, was Victoria, the woman from the bus stop. But she didn't look anything like the broken person who'd counted change with shaking hands. She looked powerful, confident, like someone who could make or break lives with a phone call. "Hello, Terrell," she said. His mouth wouldn't work. He just stood there, aware of how shabby his apartment must look, how he was still in yesterday's clothes, how Maya was calling from inside, asking who it was. "Can we talk?" Victoria asked. "I promised I'd pay you back." Terrell finally found his voice. "You didn't have to. I mean, it was just—" He gestured helplessly at the SUVs. "What is all this?" "My security team, my assistant, my attorney." Victoria smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Can I come in?" Terrell stepped aside, his mind reeling. Maya appeared in the hallway, her eyes going wide. "Daddy, who are all those people?" "Hey, sweetheart," Victoria said, crouching down. "I'm Victoria. I'm a friend of your dad's." "You're pretty," Maya said. "Do you like soccer? I have a game on Saturday."
Maya, Terrell said, "Why don't you finish your breakfast?" Victoria waited until Maya skipped back to the kitchen. Then she turned to Terrell, and her professional mask cracked just a little. "Last night, I was robbed," she said quietly. "They took my car, my phone, my wallet, everything. Left me stranded downtown with nothing." "I'm sorry," Terrell said. "That's terrible." "But I own a marketing firm, Wellington and Associates. Maybe you've heard of it." She didn't wait for an answer. 50 employees, 15 million in annual revenue. "Last night, someone set me up. Someone close to me wanted me vulnerable, wanted me gone, and they almost succeeded." Terrell's head spun. "I don't understand. Why are you telling me this?" Victoria's eyes locked on his. "Because when I had nothing, when everyone else walked past me like I was invisible, you gave me everything you had. A complete stranger. You gave me your last dollar." "It was 18, Terrell said weakly. "It was everything," Victoria corrected. "And now I want to know why. Why did you do it?" Terrell sank onto the couch. "I don't know. You looked like I felt like the world had just taken everything, and you were barely hanging on. I couldn't just walk away, even though you just lost your job." Terrell's head snapped up. "How did you—" "I do my research," Victoria said. "I know you were fired yesterday. I know it wasn't your fault, and I know you're raising your daughter alone." She sat across from him. "Tell me what happened." So he did. The whole miserable story spilled out. Michelle's death, the struggle to keep Maya fed and clothed, the job that barely paid enough, Bradley and Amanda's lies, the termination he couldn't fight. Victoria listened without interrupting. When he finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "I need someone I can trust," she finally said. "Someone with integrity. Someone who does the right thing even when it costs them everything." She leaned forward. "Come work for me, Terrell. Help me find out who betrayed me, and let me give you the second chance you gave me." Terrell stared at her. "You're offering me a job? A real one? Full benefits, salary that'll let you take care of Maya the way she deserves."
Victoria's expression softened. "I'm not doing this out of pity. I'm doing it because last night you showed me who you are, and that's exactly who I need on my team." Maya appeared in the doorway again, staring at Victoria with wide eyes full of hope. Terrell looked at his daughter, then at Victoria, then at the life he'd been trying so hard to hold together with both hands. "Okay," he said. "Yes, I'll do it." Victoria smiled, a real smile this time. "Good, because we have a lot of work to do." Terrell's first day at Wellington and Associates felt like stepping into another universe. The office occupied 3 floors of a glass building downtown. Everything gleamed: polished marble, modern art on the walls, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. People moved through the halls with purpose, their voices confident, their clothes expensive. Terrell felt like an imposter in his department store shirt and borrowed tie. He caught a few glances, the kind he'd learned to recognize, people wondering if he was in the right place. Victoria met him in the lobby herself. "Ignore the looks," she said quietly. "Half these people wouldn't last a day in your shoes. Come on." She led him to a conference room where a man in his 50s sat reviewing documents. Salt and pepper hair, sharp eyes, the kind of face that didn't miss anything.
"This is Robert Stevens, my CFO," Victoria said. "Robert, this is Terrell Williams. He's going to help us figure out what happened." Robert looked Terrell up and down. "No offense, Miss Wellington, but what exactly are his qualifications?" "He's someone I trust," Victoria said firmly. "That's more valuable than any degree right now." Over the next 2 hours, they laid it out for him. Victoria had been working late at the office 3 nights ago. Her assistant, Kevin Mitchell, had insisted she'd take his car since hers was in the shop. She'd driven to a client dinner downtown, and when she came out, the car was gone. Her phone had been in it, her wallet, everything. Kevin reported it stolen immediately, Robert said, very concerned, very helpful, even offered to let Victoria stay at his place that night. "But you didn't," Terrell said, looking at Victoria. "Something felt off," she admitted. "The timing was too convenient. And when I checked my credit cards the next morning, someone had tried to use them at 3 different locations, like they were testing the limits before the accounts got frozen." Terrell leaned back. "You think Kevin set it up?" "I think someone did," Victoria said carefully. "And Kevin's the obvious choice, but I need proof before I accuse him. He's been with me for 4 years. If I'm wrong, you destroy an innocent person's life," Terrell finished. He knew exactly how that felt. Exactly. Victoria slid a folder across the table. "This is everything we have so far. Transaction records, timeline, security footage from the restaurant. I need you to look at it with fresh eyes." Terrell opened the folder, his hands not quite steady. Numbers and documents. He'd been working factory floors for years, not investigating corporate theft, but he understood betrayal. He understood the way people smiled to your face while sliding a knife between your ribs. "I'll do my best," he said. The work consumed him. Terrell spent his days combing through expense reports, cross-referencing receipts, tracking patterns. Victoria had given him a small office with a computer and told him to dig. What he found made his stomach turn. Kevin had been skimming for at least 18 months, small amounts at first, a few hundred here, 1,000 there, buried in legitimate expenses, but it had escalated. In the last 6 months alone, nearly $80,000 had vanished into ghost vendors and inflated invoices. He needed the robbery, Terrell told Victoria one evening, spreading printouts across her desk. "Look at this. 2 weeks ago, your external auditors scheduled a review. Kevin would have known he was about to get caught." Victoria studied the documents, her jaw tight. So he stages a robbery, makes himself look like the helpful assistant, and in the chaos, he planned to disappear, Terrell said. "Blame it on whoever stole the car. By the time you pieced it together, he'd be gone." "Except I ran into you instead," Victoria said softly. "And you brought me home, and I started asking questions faster than he expected." Robert appeared in the doorway. "We have enough for the police." "More than enough," Terrell said. Victoria picked up her phone. "Then let's end this." The police arrested Kevin the next morning.
He'd been planning to leave the country that weekend. They found the tickets on his computer. As they let him out in handcuffs, he looked at Victoria with such hatred that Terrell instinctively stepped closer to her. "You would have lost everything without that homeless guy helping you," Kevin spat. "You got lucky." "No," Victoria said coldly. "I got smart. There's a difference." After Kevin was gone, the office felt lighter.
People smiled more. Victoria walked the halls without the weight of betrayal on her shoulders. And somehow, in the middle of all of it, Terrell had become part of the team, not just the guy investigating fraud, an actual employee. People asked his opinion in meetings. They invited him to lunch. Robert clapped him on the shoulder and called him a natural. For the first time in 3 years, Terrell felt like himself again. "Daddy, is Victoria coming to my game?" Maya bounced on her toes, her soccer uniform slightly too big, her cleats tied in uneven bows. It was Saturday morning, and the field was packed with parents setting up folding chairs and kids warming up. "I don't know, sweetheart," Terrell said, even though Victoria had promised she'd try. "She's really busy." "But she said she wanted to see me play." Victoria had been spending more time with them, dinners after work once or twice a week. She'd helped Maya with a school project. She'd brought coffee to the apartment on Sunday mornings and sat at their tiny kitchen table like she belonged there. And Terrell was falling apart. Because somewhere between the investigation and the late-night strategy sessions and the way Victoria laughed at Maya's terrible jokes, he'd started feeling things he had no business feeling. She was his boss. She'd saved his life. And he was just Terrell. He turned. Victoria was jogging across the parking lot, dressed in jeans and a sweater, her hair pulled back, looking nothing like the CEO who commanded boardrooms. Maya shrieked and ran to her. Victoria scooped her up, spinning her around. "You came?" Maya said. "Of course I came. I promised, didn't I?" Victoria sat her down and looked at Terrell. "Sorry I'm late. Conference call ran long." "It's Saturday," Terrell said. "Tell that to the clients." She smiled, and something in Terrell's chest twisted. "Come on, I want good seats for this." They sat together on the bleachers, Victoria cheering louder than anyone when Maya scored a goal in the second half. Afterward, they got ice cream, Maya's choice, and walked through the park while Mia ran ahead, still buzzing with energy. "She's amazing," Victoria said. "You're doing an incredible job with her." "I'm trying," Terrell said. "Some days are harder than others." "I can imagine." Victoria was quiet for a moment. "My parents divorced when I was 8. My dad disappeared, just gone one day. My mom worked 3 jobs to keep us fed." She watched Maya climb a tree, fearless. "I built my company because I never wanted to feel that powerless again. But watching you two, I think maybe I've been missing the point." "What do you mean?" "Power doesn't mean anything if you're alone," Victoria said softly. "You have something I've been chasing my whole life. You have family, love, purpose beyond a profit margin." Terrell's heart hammered. "Victoria! Victoria, look!" Maya called. "I'm a monkey!" The moment broke. Victoria laughed and waved, but when Terrell glanced at her, she was still looking at him, and the air between them felt electric. They were in dangerous territory now, and Terrell had no idea how to step back. Over the next month, the lines blurred completely. Victoria came to every soccer game. She taught Maya how to braid hair, something Terrell had never mastered. She'd sit on the couch, Maya between her knees, gently working through her thick curls while they watched cartoons together. She brought groceries when she visited, fancy things Terrell couldn't afford, and pretended it was no big deal.
Maya started drawing pictures of 3 people again, her daddy and Victoria. And Terrell was terrified because he was in love with her, completely, irreversibly in love. And he had no idea if she felt the same way, or if he was just a charity project that had gotten out of hand. He couldn't risk it, couldn't risk losing the job that had saved them, couldn't risk Maya getting attached to someone who might walk away. But every time Victoria smiled at him, every time her hand brushed his, every time she looked at Maya like she was something precious, Terrell was drowning and he didn't know how to save himself. Before we continue, we need your opinion. What would you do if you were Terrell? Should he risk everything and tell Victoria how he feels? Or is confessing to your boss who saved your life a terrible idea that could cost him everything? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. We want to know what you think Terrell should do. And if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. Maya had drawn another picture at school. Her, Terrell, and Victoria holding hands under a rainbow. She'd drawn herself and Terrell with brown skin and curly hair, Victoria with blonde hair, all three of them smiling. She'd written "My Family" across the top in wobbly letters. "Can I give it to Victoria?" Maya asked at dinner. "I made it special for her." Terrell stared at the drawing, his throat tight. "Sure, baby, she'll love it." But after Maya went to bed, Terrell sat alone in the dark, that picture on the table in front of him, and realized he couldn't keep doing this. Couldn't keep pretending. Couldn't keep letting Maya build a fantasy that might shatter. He had to tell Victoria the truth, even if it meant losing everything, even if it meant breaking his daughter's heart. Saturday came with perfect weather. Sunshine, clear skies, the kind of day that made everything feel possible. Maya's team was playing their rivals, and the stands were packed. Victoria arrived early, carrying a poster she'd made with Maya's jersey number on it. Maya screamed with delight when she saw it. "You made that for me?" "Of course," Victoria said, grinning. "Now go out there and show 'em what you've got." Maya ran onto the field, and Victoria settled beside Terrell on the bleachers. She was wearing jeans and a blue sweater that matched her eyes, her hair loose around her shoulders. She looked happy, relaxed, more beautiful than Terrell had any right to notice. "She's been talking about this game all week," Victoria said. "Apparently, Dylan Parker said girls can't play soccer as good as boys, and Maya took that personally." Terrell laughed, despite his nerves. "That sounds like her." They watched the game in comfortable silence for a while. Maya was playing forward, darting around defenders with fierce determination. Every time she touched the ball, Victoria jumped up, cheering. In the second half, Maya scored, a perfect shot to the bottom corner that left the goalkeeper diving too late. Victoria grabbed Terrell's arm, shaking him. "Did you see that? Oh my God, did you see that?" "I saw it," Terrell said. But he wasn't looking at the field anymore. He was looking at Victoria, at the pure joy on her face, the way she celebrated Maya's victory like it was her own. And he knew right then he couldn't keep this inside anymore. The game ended with Maya's team winning 3-2.
Maya ran over, sweaty and triumphant, and Victoria hugged her tight. "You were incredible out there. Did you see my goal, Daddy?"
"I saw it, baby. I'm so proud of you." Terrell's voice came out rough.
"Hey, why don't you go celebrate with your team? Victoria and I need to talk for a minute."
Maya looked between them, suddenly serious. "Are you guys okay?" "We're fine," Victoria said quickly. "Go have fun. We'll get ice cream after." Maya ran off, and Victoria turned to Terrell. "What's wrong? You look like you're about to throw up." "I need to tell you something," Terrell said. His hands were shaking. "And I need you to let me get through it before you say anything." "Okay?" Victoria's smile faded. "Terrell, you're scaring me." "I'm in love with you," he blurted out. The words tumbled over each other, desperate to escape. "I know I shouldn't be. I know you're my boss and you saved my life, and this is probably the most inappropriate thing I could say, but I can't keep pretending. I wake up thinking about you. I go to sleep thinking about you. Maya draws pictures of the three of us like we're a family, and every time she does, my heart breaks a little more, because I want that so badly it hurts." Victoria stood frozen, her eyes wide. "I understand if this changes everything," Terrell continued. "I understand if you need me to resign. I'll do whatever you want. I couldn't keep lying, not to you. You deserve the truth." The silence stretched between them. Parents were packing up around them. Kids were running past, but Terrell's entire world had narrowed to Victoria's face. "Are you done?" she finally asked. Terrell nodded, not trusting his voice. Victoria stepped closer. "Good, because I've been waiting 2 months for you to say that." "What?" Terrell Williams, you are the most frustrating man I've ever met." Her eyes were bright. "Do you think I go to every soccer game just for anybody? Do you think I spend my Sundays in your tiny apartment drinking bad coffee because I'm being charitable? I thought you thought wrong," Victoria said. "I've been in love with you since the day you handed me that money at the bus stop. Since the day you looked at me like I was a person who mattered, not a transaction or an opportunity. And every day since then, I've been trying to figure out how to tell you without making things weird at work." Terrell's brain had stopped working. You love me?" "Yes, you idiot," Victoria laughed, and it sounded like crying. "I love you. I love Maya. I love the way you make terrible pancakes on Sunday mornings, and how you always put her needs before your own, and how you're kind even when the world has given you every reason not to be." Victoria, she kissed him right there on the bleachers with half the soccer parents watching. Victoria grabbed his face and kissed him like she'd been holding back for months. And maybe she had been. Maybe they both had. Terrell kissed her back, his hands in her hair, his heart hammering so hard he thought it might break through his ribs. She tasted like hope, like second chances, like everything he'd been too afraid to want. When they finally broke apart, Maya was standing 3 feet away, her mouth hanging open. "Does this mean Victoria is my new mom?" Victoria burst out laughing. Terrell buried his face in his hands. "How about we start with girlfriend and see how it goes," Victoria said, pulling Maya into a hug. "Can we still get ice cream?" "Absolutely." 1 month later, Terrell proposed. It wasn't fancy, no restaurant, no elaborate plan. Just the 3 of them in the park where they'd walked that first day after Maya's game. Maya had picked wildflowers and woven them into a crown for Victoria. And when Victoria put it on, laughing, Terrell realized he couldn't wait another second. He got down on one knee, right there in the grass. "I don't have a ring yet," he said, "and I know this is fast, but I've lost enough time in my life. I don't want to lose any more. Victoria Wellington, will you marry us?" Victoria's hands flew to her mouth. "Us?" Maya nodded seriously. "We're a package deal then." "Yes," Victoria said, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, I'll marry you both of you." Maya shrieked and tackled them both, and they collapsed in a heap on the grass, laughing and crying and holding on to each other like they'd never let go. The wedding was small, just close friends and family in Victoria's backyard. Maya was the flower girl, taking her job very seriously, scattering petals with intense concentration. Terrell's mama sat in the front row, dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief, whispering prayers of gratitude. When Terrell saw Victoria walking toward him in her simple white dress, her eyes locked on his. He thought about the night at the bus stop, the night he'd given away his last $18 because he couldn't stand to watch someone suffer. He'd thought he was giving her everything he had, but really she'd been the one giving him everything. A job, a future, a family, a life worth living again. "You okay?" Victoria whispered when she reached him. "I'm perfect," Terrell said. And for the first time in 3 years, he meant it. 6 months later, they were walking through that same park, Terrell, Victoria, and Maya. The evening sun painted everything gold, and Maya was running ahead, chasing butterflies. "Daddy, look! Victoria, come see!" Victoria squeezed Terrell's hand. "She's going to be a scientist or an explorer, something that involves running everywhere." "As long as she's happy," Terrell said. They walked in comfortable silence, watching their daughter discover the world. Terrell thought about everything that had led to this moment. The job loss that had felt like the end, the stranger on the bench who'd needed help, the choice to give when he had nothing left to give. "You know what's funny?" Victoria said. "If Kevin hadn't set me up, if I hadn't been robbed that night, we never would have met." "Don't give him credit for this," Terrell said. "I'm not. I'm just saying sometimes the worst moments lead to the best things." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Sometimes you find exactly what you need when you stop looking for it." Maya ran back to them, breathless and grinning. "Can we get dinner? I'm starving." "Pizza," Victoria suggested. "Always pizza," Maya said. They walked toward the car. Maya between them, holding both their hands. Just a normal family on a normal evening. Nothing special, everything special. Because sometimes the smallest acts of kindness change everything. Sometimes giving someone your last dollar means getting back more than you ever imagined. And sometimes, when you're at your lowest point, when you think there's nothing left worth fighting for, that's when life surprises you. That's when you realize the story isn't over, it's just beginning. If this story touched your heart, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button and join the Black Voice family. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today, and drop a comment telling us about a time when a small act of kindness changed your life. We read every single one, and your stories inspire us to keep sharing these messages of hope. Until next time, remember, you never know how one moment of compassion can transform.